everyone, I am Jessica. Today I'm going to be creating as part of the Twisted Sisters from Close to My Heart YouTube hop. And for this hop, what we're doing is we're each taking a product from either the new November and December catalog that just came out, or from the new 2021 to 2022 core catalog that's still relatively new, but also just recently came out. And we're gonna take a product from one of those catalogs and twist it in an unusual, unexpected way. So beyond its intended meaning, which is something that I really love to do with my products anyway. If I'm gonna buy something, I wanna be able to use it in lots of different ways. So for today's twist, what I am going to do is actually use some paper from the new seasonal catalog. And this paper is called Wonderland. And as you can see, it really has this like walking in a winter wonderland sort of theme to it. But I'm going to use it for scrapbooking a one-page layout of camping from Memorial Day weekend. So, I mean, obviously not walking in a winter wonderland. And then I'm also going to be using something from the core catalog, and that is one of these card front stencils. Now they come in a pack of 3, and so you can pick which pack that you want to get. I have these 2, and I'm not entirely sure yet which one I'm going to use. I'm thinking this one right here. But they are intended for cards because they fit perfectly on an A2 size card front, but I'm going to use them on my scrapbooking page instead. So those are my 2 twists, and I'm really excited. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so I'm working with Make It From Your Heart Volume 5, and this is pattern 11, and I've gone ahead and cut all of the pieces that I need for this project. Now, as you can see, I've got a couple of little squares that are part of that cutting guide, and I pulled those out of the Mix-In collection. I've got some zip strips from Wonderland and some different colored cardstock, and then I don't have all of my photos printed. I still need to print a few more, so I've grabbed a couple of placeholders. Now, this is that main piece of paper I'm going to be working with, and you can see the back side has snowflakes and winter trees, and it's very much a winter theme, but I am going to be using the other side for my layout. Now, I've gone ahead and matted that on a piece of white daisy cardstock, and per the cutting guide on the layout book, I am cutting my squares into triangles. Now, I have found it easy to do this by just kind of lining up corner to corner diagonally, and then starting my trimmer in the middle of that square and then going from end to end. Seems to cut the best. All right, now for my second twist, like I said, I am going to use a card front stencil on my layout. So I did decide to go with the one that has the little plus signs on it, and I've just twisted this sideways and kind of have it coming off the edge of my project here. And I'm using my mini ink foam blending tool and some Chip Sapphire Distress Oxide ink. And I'm just in a circular motion going over that stencil. And I'm not trying to be super careful about covering the entire thing. Like, I want it to have some darker areas, some lighter areas, to have some of the pluses maybe not even completely filled in. So just, you know, a little bit of that stencil pattern peeking out from behind my papers and my photos in a really organic looking way, just to create some visual interest in that background. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat this in 3, so that I have a total of 3 different spots on my layout, and as well as doing that on my second page, because this is a double page layout. So here I'm just finishing that 3rd section on the other side of my layout, and there. That was pretty easy. I really like using these card front stencils just as stencils. I don't think that they have to be limited to using them for cards at all. All right, I decided that I needed a little bit more than just that stenciling, so I pulled out my all-purpose mat, and I am using the Night Gloss Spray, and I'm just going to unscrew the lid and tap that stopper, the little straw thing, so that some of those splatters come out. And there, that's all dry. It doesn't take very long for that to dry. About as much time as it takes me to clean up my mess, and then it's already dry. Okay, again, per the cutting guide and in the Make It From Your Heart Volume 5, I am just going to start adhering all of my different pattern pieces down here and papers, and I won't make you watch all of that because, you know, if you've ever followed a pattern, then you're just kind of putting things where they belong. I do love using my Versamat and this T-square ruler, because whenever I do follow a pattern like that, it makes it so much easier to get things exactly where they belong and make sure that everything is totally straight and even. because I mean, I'm pretty good at eyeballing, but definitely my eyeballs get a little crooked sometimes if I try to do it on my own. So I just really love hooking the side of my T-square ruler on that Versamat. And I'm just, like I said, going to go through and kind of put all of these different pieces down. I did end up switching over to some liquid glue instead of my tape runner for those triangles because it was just a little bit easier to get adhesive into those tiny little corners. All right, and so now I'm going to take one of the photos that I do have printed, and I'm going to mat it on this piece of Sapphire pattern cardstock. Now this cardstock you can't really see here in the video, well you can on the back side there, but it's actually a piece from the other collection in the November and December catalog called Candid Moments. And the other side just has this really pretty sapphire print on it, and I wanted something a little bit different than just cardstock for matting my photos. Okay, and now you can see I've gone ahead and put a little note here to myself about what other photos I need to print, and then I've used my Cricut and a Paige Evans cut file to cut out that family. And then I've used the September stamp of the month and partially masked a stamp there. I used this little banner piece from the Waterfall card thin cut. And then I used a bunch of the layered flowers for some other different die cuts as well that I'm going to use as embellishments around the page. And I had a bunch of little scrap pieces of that Wisteria pattern paper. And so I just used that banner piece from the Waterfall thin cut to like do a little partial cut on those, and I thought I could kind of have those sticking out from a couple of different places and tuck them in as little flags. And so that was like a perfect way. I really used up every little scrap of paper here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and prepare some of these thin cuts that I've got ready to go, especially the layered flowers. And I thought about maybe having a pop of yellow in here, but ultimately I ended up not using those ones. I really liked the white centers that popped out of the one card, and I liked that layered on top of the Wisteria cardstock. So I go with the Wisteria and the white flowers instead. The yellow just didn't quite suit, but I had them, so I'll save them for another project. All right, I'm going to go ahead and start tucking some things around my 2 pages. And this, I actually was inspired to do this little top piece here by the photo that is in the Make It From Your Heart Volume 5 for pattern 11. They always show you a couple of different samples of those layouts put together. And so I was looking at it, and one of the samples had that little piece up on the top of the photo. And so I really liked that, and that's where I got that idea. And then I'm just going to pop up on foam tape this sentiment that I stamped from that stamp of the month, and just kind of start placing some things around and playing with things. I'm going to cut off that one bottom leaf so that I can tuck it just a little bit better, and that way it's not looking quite so funky there. Just kind of set that down, make sure I don't put the flower on top of my husband's head, and I'm going to put the leaves down flat and then pop up the flower on some foam tape. And so really at this point, I did spend quite a bit of time messing with my Cricut and then, pulling a bunch of different thin cuts out and preparing things. But once I had all of that stuff cut and ready to go, the embellishing process really didn't take too terribly long. It was just kind of more about honestly messing with my Cricut. I'm still fairly new at doing cut files and having like the digital Cricut. I have an Explorer Air 2, which I know is not even the most current model, but I was operating from the old school plug in your cartridge one until just a few months ago. So, but otherwise, really this page came together pretty quickly once I got all of those different pattern pieces down. And so here I'm just, like I said, going to use some of those partial cuts on the Wisteria pattern paper and just kind of tuck them in like little banners kind of sticking out from a couple different places. And then I'm going to put a couple more of those flowers over here on the right page along with some of those leaves. I am obsessed with those leaves. I love the layered flowers, thin cuts, but there's just something about that one particular leaf thin cut that is my very favorite. And so I've been using it on quite a few layouts lately, even if there really isn't a need to have leaves or flowers anyway. I just love them so much. I think that they're so cute. And so I'm going to put one of these flowers down flat, and then, like I said, I'll pop one up on foam tape. And so just kind of going around and doing that sort of thing as I finish off this page. Now, you might might notice that I do have a couple of notes to myself on my photo placeholders. I don't know, does anybody else ever do this? If I don't have the pictures that I need, that I know I still need to print, or if I've cut them down to a different size, I just kind of write right there, you know, like what the picture is. And then that way, once I have enough pages that are missing pictures, I'll go through and put in an order on Snapfish, and then I go through and add them to my scrapbooks later. So that's why I've got some writing there on my photo placeholders. But I'm getting pretty close to being done. I'm going to add in one of my all-time favorite embellishments, which is my wooden buttons. Love these things. And I decided to go with the ones that have the 4 buttonholes and also the solid line around on the outside. And I'm just kind of digging through and finding the ones that I need in a couple different various sizes. And I think about my visual triangle. I also remembered that I had some wisteria ribbon in my stash, and so I pulled that out and made a couple of different bows and placed that around the layout as well. Now, I always stitch my buttons onto my projects because I think buttons look a little naked without them, and so I've done that off camera. And I added a little bit of journaling up there, and I just need to add some underneath my title, but otherwise this double page layout is done. I apologize, I think I said a single page layout in the beginning, but it is a double page, and it is just a camping from Memorial Day weekend camping layout, although, you know, other than the pictures, there's nothing too camping themed with it. So we used that Wonderland paper, which is a winter theme paper, and we used a card print stencil on a layout. And so those are the 2 twists. I hope you guys enjoyed and that you feel inspired to create something twisted as well. There are so many talented makers playing along in this hop, and so please make sure that you check out all the links below and see all of their creations. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Happy crafting.